Princess Victoria of Prussia. Known as Maretta in her family, Victoria was the second daughter and fifth child born to Frederick III, German Emperor, and Victoria, Princess Royal and German Empress. Born only 2 months before the tragic death of her brother Sigismund, Victoria's mother developed a close and intimate relationship with Victoria and her younger siblings. If you would like to support my channel, please like, comment, subscribe, or even check out my Patreon page. It really helps me to create new content. Victoria was born on the 12th of April 1866 in Potsdam. Victoria's mother chose to raise her younger children herself instead of leaving them in the care of tutors and governesses, as she had done for Victoria's older siblings, William, Charlotte, and Henry. For this reason, Victoria and her younger siblings, Valdemar, Sophia, and Margaret, were very close to their parents. In 1879, when Victoria was 13, her younger brother Valdemar died from diphtheria, bringing the younger three sisters closer together. Growing up, Victoria and her siblings lived in Potsdam and Berlin. In 1871, her grandfather William I became German Emperor, and her parents became the Crown Prince and Princess of Germany. Her parents raised their children away from the Berlin court, who disliked the Crown Princely couple for their liberal beliefs. They hoped to instill these beliefs in their children through an education system similar to the one Victoria's mother had been raised in herself. Much of Victoria's childhood was based on an English upbringing. She was raised in a warmer, less strict environment to that of her older siblings, and Victoria became an active and enthusiastic child. As Victoria grew older, the question of a husband was raised. Her grandmother, Queen Victoria, and her mother, Victoria, both suggested Prince Alexander of Battenberg, a brother of Prince Henry of Battenberg, who was married to Victoria's aunt, Princess Beatrice. Alexander had been chosen as the reigning prince of Bulgaria in 1879. Alexander visited the Prussian court in 1881, and Victoria fell head over heels in love with him. Victoria's parents were eager for the marriage, but William I, Victoria's grandfather, and Chancellor Otto von Bismarck were against the match. They felt that the Tsar of Russia, Alexander III, would be offended by the marriage because Russia and Bulgaria were not on good terms. Victoria's father became the German Emperor in 1888, and it was hoped that Victoria and Alexander would be allowed to marry. But Victoria's father died only 3 months later. Victoria's brother William became the emperor, and on advice from the Chancellor, he refused to give permission for the marriage. The princess was forced to give up on the possibility of marriage to Alexander. As time went on, Victoria became convinced she would never marry. She was not considered to be conventionally beautiful, and she took matters into her own hands to improve her appearance. She developed an eating disorder, starving herself, and it greatly concerned her relatives, especially her mother. Her mother sent her to Britain to recover and spend time with her English relatives. In June 1890, when Victoria, her sister Margaret, and their mother Victoria visited Princess Marie of Wied, Victoria met Prince Adolf of Schönberg-Lippe. Due to bad weather, Victoria and the other guests spent much time indoors, and during this time Victoria and Adolf got to know each other. They became close and eventually married on the 19th of November 1890. Victoria did not love him and only married him so that she would not end up alone. They had a long honeymoon, travelling throughout Europe and the Mediterranean. After suffering a miscarriage early in their marriage, they never went on to have any children. They had a peaceful marriage and were respectful to each other. Adolf and Victoria moved into a neoclassical palace bought by Adolf called Palais Schönberg in Bonn. Victoria was often alone there as Adolf was busy with his military duties. She took up hobbies of decorating, tennis and gardening to pass the time. However, the excessive loneliness caused Victoria to fall into depression, and to gain some control over her circumstances, she resumed her drastic dieting. From 1895 to 1897, Adolf was regent of Lippe for Alexander, Prince of Lippe, who had an intellectual disability. Victoria greatly enjoyed her public responsibilities as the wife of the regent, and her mental health improved during this time. Despite being told he was next in line, Adolf was passed over as regent and prince. In 1898, Victoria's mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she succumbed to the disease in August 1901. Victoria's grandmother, Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom, also passed away that year. The First World War greatly distressed Victoria. She adored Britain and was sympathetic to the British cause. During the war, her husband died in 1916. Her brother-in-law, the King of the Helens, was deposed in 1918, and she, along with other German nobles and royals, lost their titles under the new Weimar Republic. Her finances began to dwindle, and she wrote a memoir in 1929 to generate some income. In 1927, Victoria met Alexander Zubkov, a Russian immigrant studying law at the University of Bonn. Victoria became infatuated with the young man, 35 years her junior, and spent lavishly on him. He proposed to her only 2 months after meeting her, and without asking permission, Victoria married him. She renounced her titles in order to do so, and they wed on the 19th of November 1927. It was a royal and society scandal. Soon, Alexander spent large amounts of Victoria's fortune, and combined with his public misconduct and financial troubles, led to his deportation from Germany. He moved to Luxembourg and worked as waiter. Though Victoria had supported him at first, by 1928 she separated from him. Her own financial struggles caught up to her, and she was forced to auction off nearly everything she owned. She moved into a single rented room in the suburbs of Bonn and filed for divorce, causing yet another scandal. Soon after, Victoria fell ill with pneumonia. Her brother, Wilhelm, and her sister Margaret attempted to contact her, but both were unsuccessful, and she passed away on the 13th of November 1929.